Jury selection is set to start this week in the RICO case surrounding the alleged Young Slime Life gang. 28 people were named in Fulton County DA's initial indictment, including rappers Young Thug and Gunna. But since then, a number of defendants have been dropped from that upcoming trial, either because they took a plea deal or they did not have lawyers. Gunna was released from jail last month after entering a plea. Jury selection is set to start this Thursday, and we will be following all the latest developments for you.
Happening tomorrow, jury selection begins in the Fulton County Young Slime Life RICO case. And that's, of course, the case involving rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams. Prosecutors allege he is the founder and leader of the Young Slime Life street gang. More than a dozen others could also go on trial with the case. So far, at least 8 defendants have already taken plea deals, including rapper Gunna and Young Thug's brother. Another 6 were removed from the case because they don't have attorneys or still have not yet been arrested.
Turning now to new information on the YSL RICO case out of a Fulton County courtroom tonight. 6 more suspects named in the YSL RICO case are now dropped because of a deadline. Now, initially, 28 people were named in the indictment by the district attorney's office. That includes rappers Young Thug and Gunna. Gunna has taken a plea deal and he's already been released. 4 of the suspects did not have lawyers, 2 have not been arrested, and 7 more have taken plea deals. Jury selection for the remaining defendants is set to start next week.
Jury selection is set to start this week in the RICO case surrounding the alleged Young Slime Life gang, and now there are fewer defendants than when the case initially started. 6 more suspects were dropped from that case because of a deadline. 4 others did not have lawyers, and 2 have not been arrested. Initially, 28 people were named in the indictment by the Fulton County DA's office. That included rappers Young Thug and Gunna. Gunna has taken a plea deal along with several other defendants.
If you follow the rap game closely, then you're for sure familiar with one of the largest cases going on right now. Things for rapper Young Thug are not looking all too well, as many members of the well-known group YSL are continuing to take plea deals ahead of Young Thug's trial that is to follow. The number of defendants expected to go to trial next week in the RICO indictment involving YSL has now been reduced to 15. 6 defendants will be tried separately, and 7 defendants have taken plea deals. The big question here is, where does this leave Young Thug? We'll break that down for you, but before we do that, go ahead and do us a favor by leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Updates on the upcoming trial. As of Thursday, there are 4 defendants: Javon Fleetwood, Demekion Garlington, Demise McMullen, and Javaris Bradford, all who do not have attorneys, and 2 other defendants named in the indictment, Justin Cobb and Jimmy Winfrey, who have not been arrested. Bradford was arrested 2 weeks ago. Judge Earl Glanville said all 6 will not be going to trial next week and will have to be tried on their charges at another time. We've been attempting to get lawyers for them for several months, Glanville said. Those particular individuals, once they get attorneys, will deal with them at some point in the future. Antonio Sledge, who's 41, became the 7th defendant to take a negotiated plea deal Wednesday. Sledge pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations RICO Act and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. He was sentenced to 15 years on probation. As part of the guilty plea, he agreed to testify truthfully if called upon to do so at trial, possess no weapons, commit no criminal acts, and submit to random drug screenings. During a hearing Wednesday, Love read a series of factual acknowledgments made by Sledge as part of his negotiated plea. Sledge has been a member or associated with YSL since 2012. He acknowledged he appeared on a music video with 2 co-defendants holding a gun he used in a drive-by shooting targeting a rival gang member. As part of the plea agreement, Sledge acknowledged he was told members of YSL met at the McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue to discuss the murder of Donovan Thomas on January 10, 2015. Thomas, who's believed to have been an associate of a rival gang, was killed in a parking lot of McDaniel Street. Co-defendants Bradford, Cobb, Diamante Kendrick, Demise McMullen, and Shannon Stillwell are all charged in Thomas's shooting. Sledge also acknowledged he personally knows 1 or more YSL associates killed Thomas on behalf of YSL, and that he and other YSL associates gathered at the home of Jeffrey Williams, known more prominently as recording artist Young Thug. At his home, Sledge acknowledged Young Thug gave him and other associates cash to lay low. Sledge acknowledged that 2 gas stations on Cleveland Avenue are used by YSL associates associates to sell drugs and do not permit other gangs to operate. Sledge's attorney Derek Wright said Sledge has 8 children, including 5 who are minors, and that his client wants to return to his family and leave all of this behind. He is very anxious to get back to his family. His outlook on this is some childish things done in the past have come back to bite him, and he's grown out of some of those childish things, Wright said. After this trial and all of this is over, you will not see him again. He was released from jail Wednesday. Atlanta rappers Slime Life Shotty, Gunna, and Lil Duke, Walter Murphy, and Quantavious Greer entered negotiated pleas before Christmas. Most have already been released from jail. On Thursday, Deputy District Attorney Simon Hilton said 3 other defendants, Durante Beebe, Trontavious Stevens, and Tinquarius Mender, have been offered plea deals and had until the end of the day to respond. Derailed proceedings. This week, proceedings have been derailed due to health concerns and problems. On Tuesday, Judge Ural Glanville, who had bronchitis, sent everyone home after one of the defendants, Jaden Myrick, reported feeling ill. On Wednesday, proceedings were delayed as the court and jail worked to have defendants who had tested positive for COVID appear via Zoom. At least 3 defendants tested positive for COVID and could not be present in the courtroom for Wednesday's hearing. A 4th defendant was having separate health issues related to his leg. Defendants could waive their presence for the hearing and have their lawyers represent them, but some chose not to. Their attorneys also appeared via Zoom after being in close contact with their clients. On Thursday, testimony from a song lyrics expert on behalf of Young Thug and other defendants was delayed due to a defendant on Zoom who tested positive for COVID, feeling ill. Young Thug might soon be fighting more than charges, as a COVID-19 outbreak has hit several of his co-defendants in his RICO case. According to legal documents obtained by TMZ, a bunch of the defendants and attorneys in Young Thug's ongoing case have tested positive for COVID. The court states Young Thug could also be at risk of getting COVID and says he must get tested. The court order, stamped on December 28th, does not have results from Young Thug's COVID test. All of the state's witnesses, except one, have been qualified as experts so far. As we reported, Young Thug has been in custody for more than 7 months. He was arrested back in May on gang-related charges tied to a 56-count indictment. He's slated for trial in January, with jury selection beginning on January 5th. YFN Lucci. The tension between YFN Lucci and Young Thug was well documented on social media and in lyrics. The 2 Georgia rappers were at a time enjoying their freedom, but they both found themselves in trouble with the law. Lucci was arrested in connection to murder and racketeering charges, but while in jail he was reportedly stabbed. Later, after Thugger was detained in the YSL RICO case, it was suggested that he was responsible. As Young Thug continues denying culpability in the alleged crimes, others named in the RICO indictment are coping to plea deals. The 7th person to reportedly agree to a plea deal was named this week. After pleading guilty to a racketeering charge, Gunna enjoyed the holidays with his family. Thug got into a beef, if you will, with another rapper by the name of Rayshawn Bennett, also known as YFN Lucci, an attorney told the court back in June. At some point, Lucci's mother was shot at, and the song comes out Bad Boy that says, let's see, you better watch the way you breathe around me, for that breath be your last, boy. Smith & Wesson 45 put a hole in his heart, better not play with me. Killer, stay with me. I shot at his mommy, now he no longer mentioned me. YFN Lucci is not a witness to be used against Young Thug in his RICO case, this according to the rapper's attorney. YFN Lucci's attorney, Drew Feinling, tells TMZ Rayshawn Bennett, aka Lucci, has not been named as a witness in the YSL case whatsoever. He makes it clear that Lucci has never been interviewed or subpoenaed by law enforcement, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, or any of the parties regarding the YSL case. We're told any party can announce, for example, that Abraham Lincoln is on their witness list, but those words alone are meaningless. So to be 100% clear, Rayshawn Bennett, Lucci, will not be a witness in the YSL case. In case you didn't know, Lucci is currently sitting behind bars and awaiting trial on murder charges. Young Thug and YFN are both Georgia rappers who are known to have beef for several years, which caused folks on social media to suspect he might be working with Thug's prosecutors in order to cut his own plea deal. However, Lucci's attorney says his focus, as it should be, is on his pending Fulton County case. Gunna was one of the 2 biggest names in the RICO case when it got made back in early 2022. He was even labeled one of the co-founders of the group, and one of the men responsible for getting some of the members out of jams when they got arrested. However, despite being denied bail earlier in the year, Gunna got a plea deal that basically gave him everything he could have wanted outside of having him to plead guilty to one of the charges. Per the terms of the plea, the rapper was sentenced to 5 years, with 1 served in prison, though that 1 year was commuted to time served. The other 4 years were suspended, and Gunna's sentence will be terminated after after he completes 500 hours of community service. So all in all, he kind of got off light given the circumstances he was arrested under. He could have easily served many years of that sentence, and yet he didn't. But that leaves the question of, will he snitch against his crew and Young Thug? The answer at present is no, and he made that clear in a statement he gave after the deal was made. He tried to distance himself from what the prosecution claims YSL was, and how he's not going to testify against his crew or cooperate to bring them down in any way. My focus of YSL was entertainment, rap artists who wrote and performed music that exaggerated and glorified urban life in the black community. He said in a statement, "While I have agreed to always be truthful, I want to make it perfectly clear that I have not made any statements, have not been interviewed, have not cooperated, have not agreed to testify or be a witness for or against any party in the case, and have absolutely no intention of being involved in the trial process in any way." Gonna continue. I've chosen to end my own RICO case with an Alford plea and end my personal ordeal by publicly acknowledging my association with YSL. An Alford plea in my case is the entry of a guilty plea to the one charge against me, which is in my best interest, while at the same time maintaining my innocence toward the same charge. The rapper concluded his statement by saying he loves and cherishes his association with YSL music, and always will, and plans to, quote, "give back to my community and educate young men and women that gangs and violence only lead to destruction." An interesting thing to say there at the end, given what YSL was accused of in terms of, well, being a gang. You could also argue, what else was he supposed to say? Also, while he can attempt to maintain his innocence via the Alford plea, it's still a guilty charge on his record, and he has to do those community service hours, or else he's gonna have even bigger problems, which is something that Young Thug is having to deal with because a rather big scene happened in court recently. When all of this started, the DA behind the RICO case noted how they were going to use this kind of case to clean up the gangs in the area. They even said that a vast majority of crimes in the area were rooted to gang activity. The reason they're likely going so hard against Young Thug is because they want to make a statement and prove a point. If you try and start gang activity, you will be caught and put behind bars. And if the statement from before proves accurate, Young Thug will soon be convicted, put in jail, and likely never see the light of day again.